Hey, I'm Jay, and welcome to the Real Estate Financial Model Bundle on smarthelping.com. First of all, I'd like to say it's nice to meet you. Thanks for checking out my templates. So this bundle, you can buy all of these templates you see below here for one price of $310, or you can go and click through the links and you can shop for them individually if you want. Uh, it's up to you, whatever you want. Uh, Most of these models are focused on acquisitions. And what I want to do is go through kind of this methodology behind them in general, and just note. So my background a little bit, if you want to know, is I started in accounting out of college in 2011. I worked for a couple small businesses. One sold, one job was horrible that I just didn't want to do anymore. I went into freelancing and just worked my tail off. And I focused a lot on SaaS and I focused a lot on real estate financial modeling. And I've worked for really big companies, I've worked for really small companies as a freelancer, and everything in between. So this is an aggregation of all the knowledge I have in separate unique templates that I believe have a lot of value. If you're underwriting real estate deals, trying to just perform some investment analysis on real estate deals. Um, so I'll go through each template briefly and try to explain about it a little bit. So the first one, mobile home park, it's got a light version and the full version, which the light version allows for up to 5 acquisitions and or developments of 5 different mobile home parks. You can define all the assumptions related to the cost, any park-owned homes, the rent revenue over time, the expenses, and potential for refinance at some point, and that will apply to each park uh, based on the timing of when the park was purchased, financed, and then when your refi period or year is. That can be different. So the refi applies to an aggregate of all the parks, but it will be different based on when the parks were actually purchased. It's got cash flow distribution waterfalls. I think I put 3 waterfalls in there to show 3 different options. I think I did preferred equity, preferred return, and a general um, three uh, three-tier IRR hurdle. Then we've got multifamily real estate. This is a very broad use model. Any multifamily real estate acquisitions um, person is going to love this. It's really good. It can go up to 4 properties, and it's got all the initial assumptions for acquisition, spend on capex, how much of it is financed, um, rent rolls. I think I did up to 10 bed types for each rent roll for each property. Um, then that all rolls into a pro forma. You can define if there's any refis individually for each property, as well as what the exit cap is, and those all also flow to a waterfall. Uh, each property actually can flow to its own waterfall structure for cash flow distributions and contributions. And you could change those assumptions for each one, or you could make them all the same if it's just all one deal that involves 4 properties. It'll have cash on cash return, internal rate of return. Uh, okay, self storage. This is one of the most unique and interesting models. It's more for an equity ramp. It doesn't include any debt funding. It's basically to see if you had, and I got the idea from Twitter, it's basically showing if you had a certain amount of equity and you wanted to invest it in up to 6 deals over time, in all deals would be joint venture deals. Or I mean, you could always zero out one of the sides and just make it just show your initial investment only in these deals over time. But the point is, you can see how your equity um, grows based on exit values, rent rolls over time, and all the different assumptions for each of the 6 deals. This is really the logic here was awesome. All the joint venture waterfalls are on their own timelines, starting in period 0, but also those are all aggregated onto the same timeline in a consolidated view as well. So really cool cash flow planning here. I loved building this one, and I think there's a ton of value there. And basically, you're trying to ramp your equity through self-storage deals. Mixed use. This is one where I separated, I think I did up to 6 or 7 uses for a given plot of land that's being built on, and you could define all the different assumptions, rent rolls, units for each of the different use types, and that'll flow through to, you can also define the expenses for each type, and that'll all flow in aggregate together to give you a pro forma. There's also a cash flow waterfall on that one. Next up, seller financing. So this one is going to be a single tab amortization schedule. You can duplicate it to show multiple seller finance deals over time, but seller financing is just basically when you purchase something and then you sell it to somebody and they finance through you, and then your profit is basically how much you collect in amortization payments plus a down payment over time against your initial cost. There's also a tax calculation here that will show how many, when you collect principal and down payment, what percentage of that is return of basis versus taxable per capital gain. Next up, short-term rentals. So this is, buying investment properties. Pretty straightforward there. The logic is granular. You can really plan out some cool stuff on this one. But the general concept is buying investment properties that have lease terms of less than 12 months, which is what a short-term rental is considered, and then renting them out over time based on some utilization, and the change in utilization over time, as well as the rent, uh, just general expenses to maintain the properties, and that also flows to a joint venture waterfall if desired, or it could be a single waterfall without joint venture if you just want to say 100% is going to the owner. Real estate budget versus actual. This is a 3-phase model where you can type in the assumptions for all the different granular development costs of in up to 3 phases, and you can put in what you think the budget is of those items. Then you can also put in what the actuals are, and this will show a variance by subtotal, line item, and grand total cash flow of what the actual is versus the budget over time. 2 to 30 year joint venture. This is one of the first templates I ever did. It's a retroactive IRR hurdle build. The one thing I did like about this is it's kind of got all the assumptions laid out nicely on the front page. Um, but yeah, one of the first ones I've done. Very, uh, very granular on the input assumptions. I try to make it all sit on one page, and then the cash flow forecasts go on to the other tabs on that one. Now this bundle also includes preferred equity and preferred return waterfalls. These are high level templates where you plug in the cash required or initial investment and then the cash returned over time. And then based on the preferred equity assumptions, equity contribution assumptions, and preferred return values, the waterfall will work and show what, who's getting what distributions over time. There's also a general cash flow waterfall 3 IR hurdle model in this. This is again where you plug in cash flow at the top, your hurdle rates, your promotion rates for the sponsor, and then this will give a detailed look at each tier and what cash flow is flowing to who in each tier, as well as a consolidated summary. And then this joint venture monthly cash flow waterfall is similar to this one. I think there's one extra hurdle in here. There might be 4 hurdles, but the nice thing about this is it's geared towards a monthly basis. But other than that, it's pretty much the same thing. And that's all I got for you. So if you're underwriting real estate deals, if you're looking into anything to do with real estate investment, there is an insurmountable amount of value in all of these templates. Very easy to use. Everything's formatted very nicely. Everything that's editable is very clear. Everything that's a formula is very clear. And there's best in practice logic and formatting across all of these templates. So that's all I got for you on this one. Bulk real estate template bundle. Enjoy it. I hope it gives you a lot of value, and don't forget to subscribe to the video or subscribe to the channel, like the video, and I'll see you guys on the next one.